Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Camper Report. I promise I'm getting a new intro made, but I'm a school kid still, so hopefully have time to make that. But today we've got a great guest. You guys all know him. He's been on the show a few times. Grant Cohn, Sports Illustrated, Niners Sports Illustrated beat writer over there. One of the biggest Niners content creators that I can think of, really. How are you doing today, man?
You ever go to you ever see there's a big boxing match or like a big basketball event and they have courtside is the heavyweight champion of the world or the former heavyweight, and they're always like, oh, what's up? And they give the little hey man, here's my fist. I'm ready to go today, man. I'm ready to go. I was just doing karate in my garage, so I'm a little sweaty.
Oh, really?
But okay. I'm feeling ready to go. Got my adrenaline up. Had a couple cups of coffee. Let's talk Niners, baby.
There's a ton to talk about. I just went on live breaking down the 53-man roster. We've got to talk about Nick Bosa. You probably have already
There's
talked
some
about
scandals though with the 53-man roster. We're gonna get there. I know you named this stream the Niners offseason drama is finally coming to a close. I named this stream the Niners just lost two young players they wanted to keep. So that's my hook for this one. Two guys that they waived who are undrafted free agents that are gone. That were their best two. So we're just a little teaser. We're gonna get there. But this is Ben's show, and Ben is a great host.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Nick Bosa getting extended. What's the guaranteed money going to look like? And is there a concern in mind that he might deal with injuries this season because he had no ramp up period? And I know a lot of people.
Whoa, slow down. It hasn't been official that he's going to get extended.
That's
Jason
true.
Dumas of Cohn in San Francisco says he spoke to a source that said the expectation is that Nick Bosa is going to play week 1 and they're going to sign this soon. So that's the report. It's most likely going to happen soon, but it hasn't happened yet. Just so we're clear.
Yeah. So that is thank you for specifying, because that probably was important. But if he does get extended, what kind of does the deal look like? And I'm guessing the Niners get extended pretty soon. And I know a lot of people want to say, he trains a lot in the offseason. It's still not contact football. I highly doubt it. I really highly doubt he's playing full speed contact football. So it's impossible. Because I know that when the Niners tend to sign guys to big extensions, I mean, Deebo Samuel, Jimmy Garoppolo, down year, and who knows what Nick Bosa. I mean, he's like a bigger unknown than we all put stock into. What's his shape going to look like for the first?
He's had season-ending injuries 3 times in his life: high school, college, and in pros.
Last year, he was dealing with injuries earlier on as well. So it could be that earlier on in the season that he has to deal with some injuries. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm thinking they're probably going to sign him this week. It'll probably be a 5-year, $165 million contract, something like that, with $110 million total guarantees and a signing bonus of, I don't know, $45-50 million. I think when it happens, everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, that's pretty much what we expected. And why did this take so long? I don't understand why this took so long. Were the Niners playing hardball with the defensive player of the year? Good luck winning that one. Or was Nick Bosa dragging his feet? I can't. At first I thought Bosa was dragging his feet because he didn't want to be in Santa Clara and just wanted to not chill in Miami, but work out in Miami at his home gym. But I looked, and Joey Bosa signed his extension with the Chargers in July 3 years ago. So I feel like if the Niners came correct with the right offer, Nick would have said yes, like his brother did. And I can't imagine that the Chargers were more eager to spend money than the Niners. The Niners have way more money than the Chargers. So it just feels the Niners are looking a little rinky dink right now. Parag is trying to get a little too cute here. Or you agree with Parag and you're hey, Bosa, yeah, you were the defensive player of the year, but you did miss a whole season. You have 2 torn ACLs. I don't know. If you want to play hardball with Bosa, it seems like you need to be prepared to trade him. And I don't think it's not going to be. So what are they really doing?
Is it not going to be fully guaranteed? You don't think so? Because TJ Watt's contract last, I believe it was $80 million guaranteed at signing.
Total guaranteed. Yeah. So I think Bosa's going to be more than that. It'll be probably 110 million total guarantees. But I'm talking signing bonus, just the signing bonus.
Right.
Probably be like 50 million,
Million.
something like that. Like the check, that's a big ass check. Excuse me
Mm-hmm.
for my language. That's a big freaking check to sign to some to cash to sign. Like, wow. Imagine just getting $50 million
Mm-hmm.
deposited in your bank account. Like, man, that's gonna
It's like
change. That's
the
gonna
cash
change
is
you a
gonna
little bit.
the cash
Yeah.
is gonna fill up my room. I could just see a whole room full of
Would you
money.
care about football as much anymore if you just got $50 million? Like, it might be hard. Might
Yeah,
be kind
that
of
is true.
tough. You
That
know?
is true. I mean,
Yeah.
my thing as far as like a football perspective. First week, he's playing Broderick Jones, rookie tackle from Georgia, who tends to be a more physical tackle. If you look, I mean, Georgia had a really run-based offense in when Broderick Jones played there. And so the physicality there, I mean, he's going to, from day one, from week one, he's going to have to face a very physical tackle in Broderick Jones, unless he lines up on the other side. I guess Broderick Jones' left side is the left side. But then you go a few weeks later and you face the Giants, who they have a really good left tackle. His name is, I think it's something Thomas as well there. So I don't know. I know that the Steelers are going to try to run it a lot on the Niners. They have a good run game. And so he's going to have to, from day one, I think the Steelers are going to try to out physical, like out perform it.
Can we come back to something you said earlier? You mentioned that the Niners don't have a good track record with players they give extensions to, like the next season, right? You mentioned that. I think it's a really interesting point. Let's stick there for a second. So Debo signed his extension, had a down year last year. Fred Warner signed his extension a couple years ago, had his worst year in the league right after that. It wasn't a bad year, but it was his worst year in the league. That was 2021, I believe. Who else? There was Jimmy Garoppolo signed his extension towards ACL. Yeah. There was D Ford signed a big contract, never worked out. Eric Armstead signed that big contract, had a down season.
The center, what's his name? Richburg. Yeah, he had
McKinnon.
Tore his, I think it was meniscus. Yeah. Was it that year? Something like that.
Now they extended Trent Williams. That went all right. Who else did they extend? Like this has happened to them a lot. And you wonder, like, is it because the way they structure their contracts in that first year, it's mostly signing bonus, very little base salary. So there's no incentive to play, to play well. Like, you just gave the dude his salary for the next year and a half in one shot before the season even started. So if they have a down year, if they don't play, like, that's okay. Well, it's no harm to them. When they get deeper in the contract, they have to, get those game checks, hit those incentives. I think there's probably more incentive to play. So maybe just the Niners de-incentivize their own players with this contract structure, and it's just human nature takes over.
Well, and I would like to see, because a lot of times signing bonuses are spread out among the years. So, I mean, I guess if they give him
in terms of how they affect the cap. So let's say Nick Bosa gets like a $32 million a year with the signing bonus of $50 million. That $50 million will be prorated over the 5 years. So $10 million a year will be added on to this cap number. So it'll be $10 million plus whatever the salary is that year. That's how you account for the signing bonus in the salary cap. But in terms of like the real cash, signing bonus is a check they give to you that you cash. Like one shot. So it's spread out against the salary cap, but in terms of real money, like that's something that Nick Bosa is going to get, and he's not going to. Like, if you look at his base salary, it's going to be very low for the first year, and it just seems like there's just way less incentive to play football under that. It's like, okay, thanks for paying me in advance. I'll do my best this year. You know what I mean? That's basically what they did.
Another thing I feel like maybe could be the holdup here, and I don't think we've touched on this a lot. Like, we're all talking about the guaranteed money, and he wants more, and he wants to be, just more guaranteed. But I think that another thing is we're also taking into consideration the Niners might want to sign him for like 6 years, and he might only want like a 3 or 4 year deal. That could be possible as well, because we saw that Aaron Donald got a 3-year deal. TJ Watt got a 4-year deal. All the top guys are wanting like these lower market deals. So you've said this multiple times on your show, so they can hit the market again and get another big check. I think that's an underrated look that we kind of haven't been touching on enough.
I tweeted it. I wondered it. But to me, I keep going back to Joey. Like the Bosas are a little corporation in and of themselves. His dad played in the league, the brothers in the league, and these guys are two of the best edge rushers in the game. So when Joey it was time for his extension, He took a 5-year deal, and he got it done on July 28th. So it seems to me that Nick would probably be open to the same thing, considering they have the same dad. They'd probably be open to a 5-year deal. He probably would have signed this in July. I have to think the Niners are playing hardball. And it seems like kind of a silly thing to do because you're not going to win that game of chicken. You're going to lose. So you're either going to alienate Nick Bosa and he's going to ask for a trade, or you're going to decide you want to trade him. But if you do that, it's going to be like the DeForest Buckner move, and fans are going to be really, really upset, especially after you just traded Trey Lance. Like, I don't think they're in a position where they can trade Nick Bosa. So you just wasted a whole offseason. You're going to end up giving him what you could have gave him a month ago. It's probably going to be a 5-year deal worth like 165. Like, we could probably guess. You should have done this. I don't know what you accomplished, Parag, by dragging your feet. But if he, comes into this season and not in football shape and gets hurt, pulls a hamstring, like, that kind of goes back to the Niners.
And another story is like how hypocritical they are. They didn't want to spend on DeForest Buckner, and they didn't want to spend. It almost feels like they were saying in that year after the Super Bowl, they were saying, well, we already are spending a lot on our defensive line. Let's not spend any more. And now they have Armstead, Hargrave, and Nick Bosa all on the roster, all making above $10 million per year.
Right. They're like, we can't afford to spend.
And then a few years later,
and Bosa. Like, and now it's like, actually it's on 3, not just 2. 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 guys. Most expensive defensive line room, I would think, in the league.
Dude, their philosophy changes a lot. Oh, we can't spend too much on the D-line. We have to spend way too much on the D-line. Oh, we need someone super talented at quarterback. No, we just need a game manager. Like, make up your mind. What is it?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. What are your core philosophies? What are your core tenets here? You have none. Whoever's played well the last month is up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Have you seen any super chats? Because there's a lot of.
I haven't seen any either. Don't worry about it. I'll let you know. Cool.
Yeah. Moving on though, Brock Purdy. So this is kind of I don't know why I set it at like over under 9 games, whatever, 9.5. I kind of like to do not. This isn't like a Vegas odds thing, but I was like, 9 games, a little over half of the season. Like that kind of seems like a good number to put it at. Do you think he plays over 9 games, Brock Purdy? And if they somehow manage to keep him healthy the whole year, what is the potential of this team? And the reason why I say this is Jimmy Garoppolo, the 1 year that the Niners kept a quarterback healthy the whole year, they made it to the Super Bowl. And as far as like the chemistry of the team, it really helps to have one quarterback healthy the whole year. So, what's your thoughts on this?
I'm going to be optimistic and say I think he'll play more than 9.5 games, although I wouldn't bet money on it. Like, I'm not crazy. But I'm going to say I think he will. And like you mentioned, when Jimmy Garoppolo was coming off his torn ACL, Kyle Shanahan had sort of a conservative approach, like, hey, this guy's not 100% back. He struggled a little bit in camp. Let's run the ball. And that's the season they started 8-0. That's the season they went to the Super Bowl. The Niners could do the same thing with Brock Purdy because they've done it before. I just feel like Kyle Shanahan is much more invested in, although they gave Jimmy all that money, but he always did it like kicking and screaming. Like, he's more invested in Brock than Jimmy. He always feel like he was betting against Jimmy, like he was saddled with Jimmy and betting against him and wanting to prove that Jimmy wasn't good enough. But he said Brock Purdy's the real deal. He got rid of Trey Lance. He got rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, this is his choice. And I think he's going to be like, how when he traded for Christian McCaffrey, they gave him like 30 carries a game and all the goal line carries. And it was so evident, like he's trying to justify all that he gave up and be like, see, it was a good trade. It was a good trade. It was a good trade. Like, sure. Yeah. Great. Just keep him healthy. With Brock, I feel like it's going to be a lot of that too. Like a lot of passing, a lot of trying to like goose up his numbers so that you justify the Trey Lance thing, the Jimmy thing. And okay, you can do that, but the more you drop him back, the more 7-step drops you call from under center, the more you expose him behind Colt McKivitz and Spencer Burford, all these guys, like, the more likely he's going to get hurt.
I feel like, as far as like, how Jimmy Garoppolo did I interrupt or
no? It was good timing. Okay. I was wrapping up.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, I feel like with the Jimmy Garoppolo thing, like after the ACL surgery, the confidence was not there. I think the reason why some of what Kyle's basis on, on saying that Brock Purdy is the real deal is he was saying this guy has the confidence that Jimmy Garoppolo or no other quarterback does. I don't
Until he
know. I
loses
mean,
the game,
to
until
me,
he gets
well,
hit in the
true,
mouth. We'll
true.
see what happens. You know what I
To
mean?
me
Yeah.
though, we'll see. But to me, right
Yeah.
now, like that last, was it that last preseason game that he ran for a touchdown? He acted like nothing had ever happened.
Yeah, but let's just
So
keep in mind that he was going against the Chargers backups, and now he's going to face the Steelers starters for
yeah,
4
that's
quarters.
true.
Man, he's going to
T.J.
take some
Watt
hits.
lining
Yeah,
up
he's going to take
every
some hits in this
snap.
game. Can he get through
Yeah.
week 1? Let's see.
Well, and in a way, it's like I think the experience is going to be there for sure. More. I mean, obviously, him stepping up in the pocket wasn't all the reason why he got injured, but it probably was definitely a part of it. And so maybe the Niners, and another thing I could see the Niners doing is more maybe going back to the more of the shotgun offense that they did with Jimmy Garoppolo as well, you know? And so that's
I don't know. I feel like part
really,
of
you
the
don't
thing
think
with
so?
Brock Purdy is that Kyle loves getting him under center, rolling him to the left.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like that whole roll to the left game is huge. It's a new part of the offense that Jimmy didn't really do well, and Brock does very well. So I don't know, man. I think this is Kyle leaning into his scheme. He couldn't run his system the way he wanted to run it with Jimmy Garoppolo because Jimmy can't move, and Jimmy wants to be in the shotgun, and Jimmy made a lot of money, and Jimmy demanded concessions, but Brock has no leverage. He just does what Kyle says, and I think you're going to see Kyle like sort of geek out on his scheme this year and try to put up really good numbers to justify. He's under fire right now. He's almost on the hot seat.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So I feel like you're going to see Kyle try to like shut that up, and he's going to try to have the offense go crazy this year. And they were scoring 35 points a game last year, but let's see you keep your quarterback healthy. That's the whole thing. And the running back too, McCaffrey and Purdy. You got to keep them both healthy the whole year. Otherwise, you're not going to win the Super Bowl. Both of them.
That's true. Well, and another thing is like you go this year, it's like the first, like the Eagles defense, not defense schedule is way harder, I think, than the Niners. They have like 6 games in a row where they played the Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills, Niners, all like 6 games in a row. You have the first at least 4 weeks, I think, defensive lines. I mean, Steelers defensive line is good, but then you have Rams, Giants, Cardinals, Browns is okay, Vikings is okay. I mean, that's like the first 7 weeks, Browns, Vikings. So the defensive lines that they have to face earlier on definitely will be favorable towards the Niners as well. And I just think that when Brock Purdy, like it's important to have a young quarterback coming off of an injury, and he's facing the defensive lines like Steelers defensive line week 1 will be hard, but then he kind of gets to ease into it a little bit. I do think Kyle will be in his bag early on because they can't start off slow. So
don't you think it's kind of funny how they ran Trey Lance out of town because he's just too young. He's not ready. You can't expect a quarterback like him to lead a team like this to a Super Bowl. So they went with a quarterback who's literally 6 months older than him.
Yeah.
Okay. Who has like 4 more career starts and also is coming off a huge injury this year. And like, yeah, he's obviously much more NFL ready than Trey, but he's still a 23-year-old quasi rookie. And there's only been one 23-year-old quarterback who's ever won a Super Bowl. So yeah, like they have a better chance to win a Super Bowl with Brock than with Trey. But really, if you step back, it's kind of not putting their best foot forward at the most important position. Like if Brock Purdy doesn't win a Super Bowl this year, could you really blame him? And what's crazy is if he doesn't win a Super Bowl this year, let's say if he misses a playoff or doesn't win a playoff game, man, he could be out and they could bring in Kirk Cousins.
That's right.
All because 23-year-old Brock couldn't get the job done. Like, is that fair? But that's where they're at, and that's the pressure he's under.
Well, and this was a topic that I didn't have for the show, but the Niners, 10 wins isn't going to get it done this year. Because you look at the NFC, the Packers, Jordan Love was a huge question mark. He's had a really good preseason, and for all accounts that I've heard, he's doing like really good. So Jordan Love could be something. And so now all of a sudden the Packers are contenders again. Then you have the Giants, you have the Falcons who have tons of weapons. So like all of these teams that are considered bottom of the tier NFC teams are now like, they're starting to gain. So the Niners, we're thinking, NFC is a little bit weak. Well, I think that's an underrated story. Will the Niners not only be able to win the division because they do have a harder schedule than the Seahawks, but also even make the NFC because they're going to have to get to 10 wins at least to make the NFC, in my opinion. So,
yeah, they're going to have to win a lot of games in the Central and Eastern, in the Eastern time zone. Cleveland, Jacksonville, Washington, Pittsburgh, Philly, like those are long trips. You didn't have a lot of those last year. You went on that long, they keep falling back on. We won. How many games in a row do they win? They win 13 games in a row, something like that, like 10 games in a row. Cool. You barely traveled. You were at home. Like, and even when you're on the road, you were at home. Week 1, you're on the other side of the country in a real road game with like a real loud crowd. Last time you faced something like that, it was over before it started.
The Cardinals game was
home game
in Mexico, but that was easy home game. Yeah.
Easy home game. Like the only legit road games they had last year were like the Seahawks, Denver, Philly. Is that it? It might have been it. 3.
Yeah, I feel like yeah, that's true.
Pretty much. This year, like Philly's legit, Pittsburgh's legit, Minnesota's a real home game. Forget Cleveland. I mean, I don't know about Cleveland, but forget Jacksonville. Washington. That's
do the Niners play
game.
Dallas in Cowboys in Dallas?
No, home.
Okay,
home. Seattle's always a legit road game, so they have like 5 or 6 or 7.
Well, and they also play. Well, I guess they play Seattle at home on Thanksgiving, so never mind.
No, they don't. That's the Seattle.
They don't?
I'll be there.
Okay.
No, I'll be there.
That's even. Oh wow, that's a tough one. That's gonna be.
Thursday night game on the road. Eesh.
Mike Rhea says, "Can we get 3 first-round picks for Kyle and John?"
You just might be able to. Honestly, you just might be able to. Like if this Trey Lance trade is crippling the team because there's no depth left, well, and you don't want Kyle anymore, there's a way to get those picks back.
Yeah.
Now he would have to okay the trade though. That's the thing with coaches; they have to okay the trade. But I feel like everyone always says, there's a lot of teams would want him. Cool.
What are the teams right now? I mean, there's only a certain amount. Maybe the Raiders.
What if Dallas fires McCarthy after this year?
Yeah, that's true. That could definitely happen. That way
they could reunite Kyle and Trey because they love each other so much.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. That's another story. That would be wild, man.
Maybe the Niners could trade. Maybe the Niners could trade Kyle for Dak straight up.
I wouldn't do that. I'm sorry.
You wouldn't? You wouldn't trade Kyle for a quarterback?
No, because I just don't think I think Dak is like really overrated. Really overrated.
I think ever since he broke his leg like that, it was a very gruesome injury. I don't think he's the same player. You get bodies around him. He seems skittish and throws picks. Why is he throwing picks? Because he doesn't want to get hit. That's why.
He has a very similar personality / charisma as like Jimmy Garoppolo, to be completely honest with you.
For real? I don't watch Dak like that.
I don't know. I mean, the way he plays, and definitely you're bringing up the ankle injury. Like that's
you're saying he's
exactly
vanilla?
how. I mean, I think he's. I
haven't watched him that much.
I think that the similar thing that happened to Jimmy Garoppolo with the ACL injury and Dak with the ankle injury, they both got less aggressive. And I just think
I feel like Dak was better though.
Dak's a really good regular season quarterback though. It's like in the playoffs,
he's so bad against the Niners. That's the thing. He's like the worst against the Niners. Like Geno was better than Dak against the Niners significantly.
And he doesn't ever
Dak was awful 2 years in a row. He
doesn't ever put up like good numbers in the playoffs. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm comparing him and Jimmy Garoppolo. Grant, you're the man. Purdy's world though. I could see though, real quick, Mike McCarthy getting fired after this year if they don't make it farther than the divisional round. So that could, I mean, Jerry Jones likes to make aggressive
They could get rid of Dak.
Moves.
They could get rid of McCarthy. This feels like a big year for both of them. So I don't know.
Grant, you're the man. Purdy's world, though. He is the man.
Wait, hold on. What was that? Are you going back? Oh, you're going back?
Oh, watch the. Okay. Yeah, my bad. Watch the 49ers. Okay. Stephen Pryor says, watch the 49ers trade a 4th-round pick to Carolina to get Jameson back.
Why didn't they keep Jameson?
So, do you want to? Yeah, let's skip to that then.
Let's get to that topic, dude. Wow.
Real quick.
No, hold on. I'll do the Alex Tree one real quick. So
Alex Tree, yeah. Dak equals Kirk Cousins, Kyle's other crush. I don't know. Kyle has faced Dak twice in the playoffs, and they made a chump.
I'm not mad at that. Because I feel like they're both guys, if you give them time and space, they can rip it. Like, they're really good.
Yeah, that's true.
As soon as bodies are around them, you're like, I don't know. There's something to that. It's kind of stationary throwers.
Dak Prescott, the reason why I'm saying, like, he has almost not regressed, but like he
has regressed.
When he came into the league, he was like a mobile quarterback who could sling it from. I mean, he had really a good arm talent, mobile quarterback, and then he went to the 4th round because of I think it was like a DUI or something.
That's correct.
Like that. But now he's not a mobile quarterback no more. Yeah,
he's slow, and like once like the pocket collapses, he's an interception waiting to happen. Because he doesn't really set his feet like as confidently as he used to. So, all right, let's talk about Deshaun Jameson and Ilm Manning. Dang.
Yeah. So the topic was, what are some players that you were surprised the Niners let go? And if you look back at their offseason, did the Niners get any better at any position now that they've cut down to 53? I think this is a good topic, fitting that now the 49ers have made their final cuts. Now we can actually talk about what they did in the offseason. And to me, I think it was a huge waste. I think Cam Latu is now on the season-ending IR, whatever.
Yeah.
Jake Moody is a huge question mark. Those are both 2 third-round picks. Jair
Yeah.
Brown, although he's good,
Like, did they
he's
get
not
better
even
on
gonna
special
be.
teams? I
Yeah,
don't know.
no,
I don't know.
no, and they were bad
Yeah.
already. And
Yeah.
then you obviously have Jair Brown, who, yes, he
Yeah.
might be good, but he's not even going to start. So those are the first
No.
3 picks.
You
and
lost Jimmy
then
Ward. You lost Aziz Al-Shaair.
Luter, 5th-round pick, not going to play.
Robert Beal,
So
probably not going to play.
D. Winters probably going to redshirt. Well, I don't know about him, but
I think the D-line was supposed to be a lot better with Hargrave, but Bosa's not here yet.
I think
the
D.
D-line
Winters,
theoretically.
Yeah, I think D. Winters adds a element of like they might do some 3-4 more often now, because D. Winters is like that. If you go back and watch him at college, he rushed the passer quite a bit.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Interesting.
Well,
at
least
they definitely
Michigan,
do want blitzers, so he'll be blitzing.
Yeah, against Michigan, he blitzed a lot in the playoff game that they played, TCU versus Michigan. So I think they could maybe use him in a 3-4 scheme for sure. But what are your thoughts on this? Just Sean Jameson, obviously. What's the corner that we cut? Knight. Quantrez Knight.
Well, Knight's going to be probably the practice squad, but we got to talk about Ilm Manning and Deshaun Jameson. Now, I think everyone knew.
Jalen Moore, what did he prove over Ilm Manning? Sorry, my voice is cracked. Why did they keep him?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
See,
that is
I thought that Ilm Manning would clear waivers. I was wrong. The Niners probably thought he would clear waivers. They were wrong. Can't get that wrong. I'm not in the organization. Yeah. They are like that. They got to get that right. You have contacts all over the league. What do other teams think of Ilm Manning? Mm-hmm. Well, they seem to like him. So that's a guy you could have been developing, a really interesting prospect, gone. So you could keep Matt Pryor.
And what did Jalen Moore show over?
Jalen Moore?
In my opinion, Jalen Moore was way worse in preseason than Ilm
I would
Manning.
agree. So that's a big mistake. And then Deshaun Jameson, like everyone knew he had made the team. Everyone knew.
Fumbling issues.
Still, everyone knew that he was a guy who was 53-man roster worthy, and that, I mean, a punt returner, a guy who could play inside and outside at corner. Yeah, absolutely. And they waive him and try to get cute so they can keep, again, like you could have kept Isaiah Oliver and Deshaun Jameson and cut Nick Zakelj. I'd much rather keep Deshaun Jameson than Nick Zakelj, but they kept Nick Zakelj. Like, mistake. I'm willing to bet right now that Jameson has a much brighter future in the NFL than Nick Zakelj. Big mistake.
I don't know if they wanted to risk it on Isaiah Oliver, but like the cornerback depth this year is going to be a huge concern. And I'm not completely sure why they can. I think Quantrez Knight, even though he's listed as like a safety, he kind of has the the body type to be a nickel corner. And now you're relying on, and my theory
to Quantrez to step up.
Yeah. Well, and my theory with the cornerback depth is that as far as like the cornerbacks giving up a lot of big plays in preseason, which they did, I think, and this is a theory that I'm going to run by you. Do you think the new man-to-man, more aggressive system that Steve Wilkes is bringing in is going to take the cornerbacks that were on this team last year, developing under more of a zone-heavy system? Do you think that like guys like Samuel Womack are kind of getting acclimated, and once they do late in the season, I think Womack could break out a little bit more? That's just my theory.
Sure. I'm just a little worried because the success of that's going to be all on the pass rush.
Yeah.
Like the way I look at it is that the safeties aren't fast on this team. They all run like 4.65, 4.7. So they're not really made to cover a ton of ground, and when you blitz, you need DBs who can cover a ton of ground, especially safeties on the back end, because you're blitzing. So you're rushing so many people. So there's that, but also like the Niners have 2 good corners, Charvarius Ward, Deommodore Lenoir. When they have 3 corners on the field, I was thinking eventually it was going to be Jameson this year. Like, I'm not a fan of Womack or Ambry Thomas or Isaiah Oliver. I don't like any of them. The way I see it is if they put Doesn't matter where you put Lenore. So you put Lenore in the slot, and then you bring Ambry Thomas out or Samuel Womack. What they do is give up big plays, not just a lot of catches. They give up 30-yard catches, 40-yard catches, long touchdowns. They're going to get targeted mercilessly. And if you have one weak link at corner on your defense, it kind of doesn't matter about the rest of your 10.
Cooper Kupp, slot receivers. I mean, they're playing. If he's healthy, I mean, he will probably be healthy by week 2. Is it that they play him? I mean, the big strength of the Niners was they always had either Jimmy Ward or the Williams, K'Wan Williams. They always had a slot corner that was good at coverage and that could shut down tight ends like Travis Kelce, so that's why
stop the run and blitz, like guys who could do everything from that spot.
Do everything.
And now you have what? Maybe Lenore.
Yeah.
Although he's been playing outside, so if it ain't like it better not be Isaiah Oliver, and it might be. And that's scary.
There might be, I mean, there might be guys that, have been cut from other teams that the Niners maybe look at. That's another thing. Like, I didn't include that, but like, we could see maybe late season, either trades or even pickups, like veterans that have been cut. Because I know, like, for example, with our team, with the Niners, T.Y. McGill, which I think he should have made the roster. He got cut. He was a veteran. With other teams, there could be veterans that got cut that could be valuable on our team, like the cornerback position. So if you know what I mean, but that's another one. T.Y. McGill was.
I can't get over the fact that they had a promising young cornerback on the team, Deshaun Jameson, and let him go. This is like a few years ago.
And Quantrez Knight.
Well, he's back, but this is like a few years ago when they had DJ Reed. They drafted him in the 5th round. They didn't really know what to do with him. They like waived him for some like injury thing, tried to get cute. He got claimed by the Seahawks. Now he's like a really good starting corner for Robert Saleh and the Jets. Like, what? How did you let that guy get out of the building? It's hard to find corners. It's a really difficult position to play. And you found a guy who looks promising and you let him go. Like, you're going to regret that.
The Niners
also,
are
the
letting
offensive linemen, man. It's hard to find offensive linemen.
The Niners are letting go. And that's why, like, a lot of people say we can just pick up someone or trade for someone at the trade deadline. It's not that hard because the offensive lineman, it's like the Niners tend to cut the 2 most important positions that they are weak at.
Like you kept Charlie Werner over Deshaun Jameson, so you could never use Charlie Werner and then cut him next year. Like, why?
Why?
I love Ross Dwelly. You don't play Ross Dwelly. Why? Deshaun Jameson could have been on your team for a while. Such a mistake. That one is just can't wait to see what happens with him.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Did he get picked up by anybody?
Deshaun Jameson? Yeah, I think he got picked up by the Panthers. Either the Panthers or the Cardinals. Let me see. Deshaun.
Well, while he's doing that, I'll read a few comments. Who will put up more yards, Debo or Ayuk for my bet? Panthers. Okay. That makes sense. They have not very good corners, so I would.
More yards? Sense. Receiving yards or total yards? I don't think Debo's going to. It's going to get one end around a game. Probably Debo because of the quarterback.
I would say that because, like, you saw in that preseason game, they featured him more on the screen that he took for like 25 yards. So, yeah, I'd agree with that.
Now, if Darnold's the quarterback, it could change, but it's Purdy, so I'm thinking it's going to be a lot of Debo. You saw that in the last preseason game. It was a lot of – since Purdy's been playing, he's been throwing a lot to Debo.
Right. Nicolo Credit, I think that's – Nicolo Credit. Damn, if only the Niners had a second-string QB in the pipeline – in case Purdy gets hurt. Luckily, this team has a great injury history. Goodbye, Kyle. Well, here's my thing. I know that the Cardinals, I don't know if he's been picked up yet, but if Colt McCoy is willing to come on a vet minimum, please pick him up because that to me is like the one guy that I would be like, I wouldn't mind him on a vet minimum, although I don't think he's taking a vet minimum because he was on a big contract last year for the Cardinals.
Agree.
Matthew Sanders, Grant, are non-media people able to purchase all 22 film after games? I'm in school full time and won't be able to watch on most game day. Any suggestions? Yeah. If I have NFL like plus premium or something, which is it's $15 a month. So if you don't have a lot of money, I last year I got my all 22 on NFL plus premium or something like that.
Good to know. Good to know. There you go. Killing it.
Niner fan for
John.
25, John Hardnett. Niner fan for 25 plus years. I think I speak for most fans in saying we're simply tired of almost winning it all, with the understanding of how difficult it is. We have to figure it out eventually.
I thought that was the goal, to eventually be the champions, but the Niners seem like they're acting like the last step of the journey is all luck. All you got to do is get to the doorstep. You don't have to walk through the door. Getting through the door is luck. It's out of your hands. You just have to get, I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, in a way, but also you have to look at all the other top contenders. Like the Chiefs, they have a big question mark at wide receiver. That's underrated. Like they have a bunch of rookies from last year and a rookie, Rashee Rice, that they drafted this year. But like they have no number one receiver except Travis Kelce. And then the Eagles have a toughest schedule in the NFL by far, I think. And they have two running backs, Rashad Penny and DeAndre Swift, who in their careers have never been healthy for a full season. And so the Eagles have never have along with the Niners have been one of the most injury prone teams for the last few years, except maybe last year they were less injury prone, but they have a huge question mark at running back. If both of those guys don't stay healthy, who's their workhorse running back? So I feel like with other contenders, there's also question marks. So yes, there's question marks with this team, but like the Eagles and Chiefs both have question marks. It's just we cover this team more, and so that we're focusing on the Niners question marks.
Right. Good call.
Trey Lance trade scandal is begged than the Joe and Hunter Biden. Man, that's rough. Grant, you got to ask Kyle straight up, what in Nick Zakel's, Charlie Warner, and Matt Pryor's film made you more excited about them versus Jameson?
That's a pretty rude question. Hey, Kyle, Nick Zakel sucks. Why'd you keep him? Damn.
You probably get your media.
I feel you
probably get your media pass taken away or something like that.
I don't know about that. That's a tough one. But yeah, I hear you.
What would it take for you to? Yeah, let's move on. What would it take for you to get your media pass taken away?
I don't want to know. Okay. I don't want to go there.
So let me see if
I can avoid that one for another day. One more day.
Under
breaking their rules. There's one guy I remember. I don't want to say his name. They might sue me. But he had a press pass like right at the beginning of the Shanahan era. And there was a player who like almost broke his neck or really injured his neck, and he was down on the field. A stretcher came out, and a few of us tweeted about it. Like, this so-and-so player is down, and he hurt his neck. And the PR director came over and was like, dude, take that down. We haven't even told his family yet. And we were like, oh, snap. Like, yeah, this is really serious. Take it down. One person on the beat, not on the beat, but one person who was there, like tweeted a photo of it and wouldn't take it down. They were like, you got to take it down. And he was like, or that person was like, no. And the next day, he didn't have a job anymore. So stuff like that will get you kicked out. Stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Over under McKivitz allows 6 sacks, which is what? Over under. What is your prediction? Over. Okay, so you think that he is going to? Because my main question with this is like, is he the same as Mike McGlinchey, and do they take a step back with him?
Yeah, I think they take a step back.
Wow.
If he was better than Mike McGlinchey, he'd been playing over Mike McGlinchey last year. This idea.
You don't think it was anything to do with money?
I think you play the best players. So win now team, right? They couldn't play Trey Lance because he didn't give him the best chance to win. You telling me that they secretly thought Colton McKivitz gave him a better chance to win, and they were playing freaking Mike McGlinchey because of the comp pick they were going to get? No.
They gave, well, I mean, that's quarterback, but they gave, I would disagree because like Dante Pettis back in the past got a lot of chances over different practice squad players. Like he got the first say. So if you're a highly played or highly drafted draft pick, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt. I don't think Colton McKivitz was much better than McGlinchey
for like 5 years. They started him at that position for 5 years. Like Dante Pettis, they gave him like a year or something to prove himself, and it didn't work out. And he was like playing over Richie James, and he shouldn't have been. But the idea that they had Colton McKivitz in their back pocket, he's been on the team since 2020, and they secretly thought he was better than McGlinchey and played McGlinchey anyway. Like that doesn't seem like how they operate. But now that how they're talking, like actually, like sure, McGlinchey was a great run blocker, but McKivitz is a little bit tougher and he might be better in pass protection. Like, okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm skeptical.
Okay.
They don't even know. Like he's played how many games? How many games has he started at offensive tackle in the NFL?
Like
2, 3.
Yeah, 3.
He's started a couple of guard. Like
I just know that like when he came in that Week 18 game against the Rams, he actually held his own a few years ago, and that was when he was a rookie. So I don't know.
He better honestly keep holding his own like 20 more times in a row.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna probably get shredded by T.J. Watt Week 1 because it's T.J. Watt, but.
I mean, the Niners can protect him, right? They can do jet sweeps. They can get the ball out of the quarterback's hand immediately. They can run the ball, but eventually it's going to be 3rd and 7. Eventually this season you're going to be down 14 and you're going to have to drop back and throw a lot to win. And what's McKivitz going to do then?
Hey, I'd take a guy that's better in pass protection than run protection at this
Is he?
point.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure he's good at anything. He'll have to prove that.
Yeah, that's true. Unproven player.
I mean, good right tackles make like 18, 19, $20 million a year. This guy's making nothing. So what he's a prove it year for Colt McKivitz. And again, they said like, look, give us the benefit of the doubt here because everyone questioned Jake Brendel last year. We were right there. Yeah. But at center, you're never isolated. You're almost never one-on-one. At offensive tackle, you're isolated one-on-one on the most important downs of the game against the best athletes on the defense.
I will say that I would give them the benefit of the doubt because of who their offensive line coach is, and he's good at kind of developing guys. And you say, you know, they wouldn't have played Mike McGlinchey. They would have played the best person. I think that's true. I don't think he's like levels above Mike McGlinchey. I just think that as far as like run blocking, Mike McGlinchey was better, but pass blocking, it could have very well been that he was slightly better. And they said because of what we're paying Mike McGlinchey. I don't know. The politics, maybe. That's just a thought.
Well, I mean, McGlinchey just got a huge contract from the Broncos, so someone thinks he's good. Like no one was going to give McKivitz that. So maybe he's.
But he also hasn't proven it. So
maybe he's the Niners' secret. But where he was drafted, his body type, his athleticism, he doesn't strike me as a guy who's going to be like dancing in space.
McGlinchey was a
best pass
pick.
rushers in the league.
Is true.
Like, I don't know. He seems like a guy the Niners are going to protect and work around. And they're probably thinking like, well, we've been doing that with McGlinchey the last few years too. Like, yeah, you have. It's true. It's true. But you're going to be doing it again.
Rick says Trey Lance trade scandal is begged.
Oh, we got you. We got that one.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
We didn't get Eddie Marcos. That's the one we didn't get.
Yeah.
At the bottom.
Season hasn't even started, and I'm already burnt out with the front office.
They better make the playoffs this year. I just feel like there's no patience, no more excuses. No, we had injuries. No. NFC Championship minimum. That's the minimum expectation. Anything less than that, Niner fans are going to be pissed this year.
I didn't expect it to be an offseason full of drama, but this is the most drama that we've had in a while.
Yeah, you'd think coming off 2 straight NFC Championship appearances and not like the vibes would be great. Team is locked in. All they need is a hot start. Going to get that 1 seed. They're all like together. How could you possibly have a split locker room coming off this much success? And yet it seems like they do. Like you had a lot of players running on the field to congratulate Trey Lance a few days before the team traded him for a 4th round pick. Like, how is that playing in the locker room? We'll find out. And we'll see if they start off 2-4. We'll hear it. It'll be evident. They have to,
shout out. Go ahead.
No,
I'm going to say shout out to like Fred Warner and Kyle Juszczyk and whatever for like every time, in my opinion, they've come up to the podium, especially Fred Warner. He's carried himself great. He's acted like he's locked in. So hopefully, you know, what I'm seeing is they're seeing all the drama in the locker room and they're rising it above it all and saying, you know, despite all this drama, we're just going to still stay locked into our jobs. Because at the end of the day, when you're a profession where you have to do your job as a linebacker, as a receiver, you're not worrying about the quarterback. You're worrying about doing your job as a receiver or an offensive lineman. So yes, the drama is there, but hopefully they've learned throughout life to kind of handle that adversity as leaders. So
the thing about the Niners is interesting is I've said it. I think people have said it for a while. Like Kyle's not a traditional head coach. You could argue he's like a coordinator, and you have 2 coordinators and essentially no head coach. And there's a leadership vacuum on this team. And so why can't they get the quarterback position? Because that requires a leader to step forward and make a decision. But the
Mhm.
people who step forward and talk and make decisions on this team are the players. Fred Warner, George
Mhm.
Kittle, like the leader, the captains. And it seems like in times of crisis, who comes out and talks? Fred Warner.
Mhm.
Like Fred Warner is more of a leader, more of a head coach on this team than Kyle. Like when it comes to who's going to be the quarterback this year, like Kyle wanted to play Trey Lance. He had a Trey Lance package. The players were like, no, Mr. Offensive Coordinator,
That's true.
we're not going to do that this year. So it's like, who is the head coach of this team? Sometimes it's Fred Warner, it feels like to me.
Yeah, that could be. Okay. Better question to ask Kyle. What on Colton McKivitz's tape made you more excited about him than Jameson?
Colton McKivitz, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah. I
Um,
feel you on that. Like, I
do
feel
you
like Jameson's going to have a better career than their starting right tackle. We'll see.
Wow, that's a hot take.
I
Okay.
feel like Jameson's going to be playing this year for the Panthers. I feel like he would have been playing this year
Yeah,
for the
that's true.
Niners. He could
They're
have
a
been their
bat
third best corner. He's better than Ambry Thomas and Samuel Womack and Isaiah Oliver. Like,
a
what
lot of
are you
a
doing?
lot of times when corners go to like a less like we saw with DJ Reed, obviously, they go to like a lesser place and they get to play a ton.
Yep.
If they're
Yep.
ready for it, yeah, they turn out to be really good.
See what he does.
But do you want to get, because I know we're running short on time. Do you want to get to this last? This is kind of just a fun
Sure.
topic.
Yeah.
What is the average day of Grant Cohn during the season? We obviously know during training camp, you're, out on, I guess
Right.
you're at practices and then you're
Yeah.
coming back and you're doing shows. What's the average day Grant Cohn during the season when you don't have to go to practices?
Okay, that's a good question. And that's starting next week. So every day is different, but Wednesday's the big day. Like Monday, you'll have a conference call. It's the day after a game. So it'll be like usually a conference call with
Mhm.
Kyle. Stay at home. Tuesday, players' day off, stay at home. Wednesday's the big day. So I'll usually leave my house, do a stream early in the morning, leave my house around 10, get down there, talk to Kyle Shanahan, the quarterback, Brock Purdy, and the
Right.
locker room will be open. So now you get to go in the locker room, and if any player says, Grant, I freaking hate you, they can come say it to my face. Or if I want to go up to a player and be like, hey, man, could I interview you? I could go up and ask him. So a lot of business gets done off the record, on the record, in the locker room. That's a big difference from training camp when you're not allowed in there because it's 90 players. They feel like it's too crowded.
Mhm.
53, you're there every day. You got to be there. So
Which
you talk to the
position
coach.
sorry to interrupt, but which
No, go
position
ahead.
group do you usually go to the most in the locker room, like to
Well,
interview?
it's like everyone's at their locker. The player. Let me paint the picture.
Mhm.
Everyone has a locker. They're all there, and it's all split up. Like they don't want players to be clicked up by their position group because they spend most of their
Okay.
time in the position group anyway. So a lot of
Yeah.
times you'll have like Jimmy Ward was next to Trey Lance. A lot of times it'll be like
Okay.
offense, defense, like something like that. So usually players will take turns sort of stepping up and talking, like the leaders on the team. Fred Warner will make himself
Okay.
available. Mike McGlinchey used to. Nick Bosa once a week will make.
Mhm.
Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle. And you know, like, okay, Kittle talks on Thursdays. Maybe you talk on Bosa talks on Fridays. And you're sort of waiting for the big guys. But then there's the other thing you can do where you can go talk to players who aren't famous and just start up a conversation. Hey, I'm Grant. Hey, whatever. There's the off the record stuff that you
Mhm.
can do as well. And that's important if you're trying to build relationships. So all the relationship building happens in the locker room. It's important. And some people just stand in there and talk to other writers and look at their phone and,
Mhm.
that's their business. Some people are just in there for the group interviews and that's their business, but you can go above and beyond. And if you want to talk to a player, you want to ask him for his phone number, you want to ask him for something off the record, you can go directly to him and try your luck. He might tell you to go screw off, or he might tell you, all right, here's my
Yeah.
number. I'll text you. I'll let you know. So it's and that's like journalists are supposed to be the kind of people who don't mind hearing no. They're just like, I'm programmed to keep asking. I'm programmed to be persistent and annoying and you know what I mean? And so that's your opportunity to show that you're kind of guy.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
so the locker room happens. And then usually you go out to practice and you get to see the first half. You get to see them stretch. You get to see them break up into position groups and go through the little drills of the day. But once it's time to do 11 on 11s, they kick you out because they're game planning for the upcoming opponent. And God forbid you saw their super secret strategies for that week. So you go back to the room, write something. And that's usually the day. Then you go home and stream again.
Okay.
Dinner.
Interesting. I was going to ask you before we let you go, I was going to ask you one more thing. When you're because this is something that I want to know, when you're to get into that position of like being a writer for a team, would you just like interview and like you would interview for that position at that newspaper and then slowly you go through the ranks and eventually you're like a big writer? Is that how it goes? Like, how do you?
That's a good question, man. That is the question. I feel like the best way to do it is you need to sort of like write stuff for free. You got to get some clips. You got to get something to audition with. So some video,
Okay.
some clips. And what I can do is I have a website. Anyone who wants to get their start can write for me. And you'll be writing for SI.com. It's very professional. I'll edit you. Then if you have a good 2, 3, one good article, you can take it to someone who's hiring and say, hey, what do you think? If you're lucky, they'll probably hire you. They probably won't offer you much, but what you could get is a credential. And if you get a credential, you're in the building, you can start a YouTube channel and you can start making money on your own. The trick is getting the credential, but you never know who's hiring. It could be a local newspaper. It could be some online platform. And you just need clips. Right. You need to keep tweeting, have an online presence. You never know if you're going to be the guy who gets that credential. So you keep fighting. It happens. Like, for example, Ben Meyerson. You called into the Cohn. If people are like, who is this guy? Dude who called into the Cohn phone. Another guy who called into the Cohn phone, Ben Meyerson, was a student at FSU, Florida State, did some work, probably at the school newspaper.
And now he's
Florida
covering
State a little bit. Had some clips. Yeah. Found a Buccaneers site that was hiring. Sent him his clips. They're like, good, you're professional. You're on. And I bet he's not making like he probably doesn't have benefits and all that kind of stuff, but he's probably 23, 24 with the credential. And now he's in the game.
Yeah, that's true.
He's in the game. And now what happens to his career is up to him at this point, but he's in the game and that's all you can ask for. So
interesting. Okay.
Ask Ben.
Yeah. I will for sure.
Yeah.
Because as somebody who's wanting to get into that.
Hell yeah.
Real quick before we get out of here, Matthew Sanders, Kyle's version of leadership, is taking people down a notch. She Ayuk. The doghouse can't shake the feeling that he tried with Lance and Lance walked. Hey,
it also feels like the people he trades up for. He's like, hey man, don't think I'm giving you preferential treatment just because I traded up for you. Like I'm gonna be hardest on you. Like cool, sweet dude.
And hey, you know what? Hats off for Lance with not like being his.
I'm out.
I'm not. Yeah.
He tried for 2 years. He tried really hard to please Kyle until he realized there was no pleasing that guy.
That's very true. Yeah. Very, very true.
Like, I make you dinner every night and you don't appreciate it.
Hey, Jimmy dealt with that too. So you guys can probably relate pretty well. But yeah, everyone, I want to first off say thank you to Grant Cohn for coming on. This went almost an hour. And so thank you for your generous time, man. I truly appreciate it. We're going to have to do this again sometime. I usually have you on about twice a year. So let's do it again.
For sure. Yeah, man, it's cool to see you growing up. When I first met you, you just called in on the Cohn phone. You were like, what, 14, 15?
I was 14. And the funny thing is I started following you I was 14. Yeah. So I started following you when I think it was summer of 2020 and you had like 5,000 subscribers and then you just blew up. So
yeah, all because of you, man. You believed in me. Alex T has one more and then we'll get out of here.
Grant sound like a better developer of a young talent than Kyle Shanahan. As far as like the charisma part of it, yeah.
I feel like I'm good at pumping people full of confidence and letting them see their best version of themselves and letting them know, dude, you can do this. You're good. Whereas his whole thing is, hey, you think you're special? You think you can do this? Oh, you haven't met me yet. Let me tell you why you suck. Like, man, that doesn't help. That really doesn't help. It doesn't.
And the defense is
like imagine if after this game, if this was over, if I were Kyle Shanahan, we'd done the stream, we'd end it. I'd be like, hey Ben, let's talk for a minute. I want to talk for 5 minutes. You really messed up this, and you messed up this, and you messed up this, and you do better next time. Otherwise, I got 3 other 16, 17-year-olds who are dying to do this. So up to you. Like that's like, okay, thanks for the feedback. Now I'm terrified and I don't want to do this anymore and I have no confidence, but let's go do a great show. Like, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say is, Ben, you were great, dude. You did this well. You did this well. And then you come out being like, all right, okay, I can do this. And I feel like confidence is so important. You can tell if someone has it, and as an athlete, as whatever they're doing. If they're confident in what they're doing, they'll probably do their best. If they're not confident, they'll probably do their worst. So as a coach, it's probably your job to make sure that they're confident in themselves. Although, I mean, anyone could tell, hey, you suck, dude. You're not as good as you think. Anyone could say that. How helpful is that? I don't know.
Well, and you look at like the best position groups on the team, those were developed by other guys, not by Kyle
Mhm.
Shanahan. The
No.
linebacker core, the defensive
Mhm.
line core. Yeah. So receiving
Oh, you
even.
think you're hot stuff, but do you fit my system? Do
Hmm.
you know? Can you memorize all my plays?
That's true. That's true.
I don't know.
Well, everyone, have a good rest of your day. This has been so much fun. I'll probably be back later on this week talking NFL with another guest. So we'll see. Check my channel out, the Camper Report. And you guys have all probably checked Grant Cohn's channel out, but it's just Grant Cohn. Type it up on YouTube. And
Thank you
go
guys.
go look at the stuff that he writes for Sports Illustrated as well. I from time to time check his articles out as well. So
Appreciate you.
go check that out, everyone. Have a
See you
good rest
down
of
in
your
Santa
day.
Clara, guys. I'm out of here.
Yep. See ya.
See ya.